Martin in bad need of a top result, really, isn't it? Jorge Martin started the season off so well with 4 successive front row starts, including 2 pole positions, but since then it's been a bit bleak after his second place in Argentina behind Aleix Espargaro in really low grip conditions at Terma 3 Hondo. Since then he's only had a best of 8th in the 5 Grand Prix since, and key surgery coming up tomorrow, as remind you, for Martin here in Barcelona to correct a nerve issue which has been sort of sending his right hand to sleep intermittently over the last couple of months or so.
So will we see more Sunday afternoon heroics from Brad Binder? We heard a week ago, going into the Grand Prix, Francesco Guidotti hoping for some Brad attack in the Grand Prix, and we certainly got it, didn't we, as he came through from way back on the grid. 16th to 7th 1 week ago for Brad Binder. Can he pull something similar out of the bag today? He starts down in 15th position on the grid, the highest KTM on the grid. He's got his teammate Miguel Oliveira just behind him, of course, who won this Grand Prix last year, but KTM will need a minor miracle to pull off any kind of success here today.
Fabio Quartararo's road to MotoGP stardom last year started in many respects at this very Grand Prix in Moto2 back in 2018 when he was a surprise pole setter and race winner. That's how he got picked up by the Petronas Yamaha team for the 2019 World Championship. And since then, it's been nothing but a story of success for the current world champion, the 23-year-old Frenchman. He's been top 6 in all 3 previous MotoGP races here. A win from second back in 2020, but he was clinging on for dear life at the end of that Grand Prix when he hit major rear tyre problems. In particular, he almost got hunted down by the Suzukis of Joan Mir and Alex Rins. In fact, if there was one more lap, he probably would have lost that victory.
He would. Miguel Oliveira, one more lap, he could have lost his victory to Johan Zarco here last year in very similar circumstances. Miguel Oliveira's future is very much the topic of the day at the moment. There were some eagle-eyed journalists who saw him walking into the Gresini Ducati box yesterday evening with his father and manager, along with some key Ducati personnel. Miguel Oliveira heavily linked with a move to the Gresini Ducati team. He's been proposed a switch to the Tech 3 KTM squad from the factory team he currently occupies. That does not float Miguel's boat, so it looks as if his days at KTM are numbered.
Very shortly then we'll be getting the now traditional pre-race grid ceremony underway with the MotoGP trophy stand in action as well, with the featuring the race-winning prize on offer today and the prize that they're all chasing, the biggest prize in two-wheel motorsport, the trophy that hands over to the winner of the MotoGP World Championship. This man knows what it feels like to have that back in 2020, but Joan Mir's got so much work to do coming from down the grid. 17th place on the factory Suzuki GSX RR. 3 DNFs in the last 4 races for the 24-year-old Spaniard, very much in reset mode, just trying to rekindle some of the old magic which we know is in there. Problems stopping that Suzuki. As we'll take a pause now then for the pre-race ceremony. So the Spanish and Catalan anthems ring out here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. The E strings from the Geo Orchestra. Great way to kick off the pre-race ceremony. He'll be pulling the strings though in the 24-lap MotoGP race coming up very, very shortly. The countdown well and truly underway here for the Catalunya clash. We're about 6.5 minutes away from lights out here. Aleix Espargaro starting from pole position on the factory Aprilia, keeping as cool as he possibly can down there on the grid is Luca Marini. Great finishing record in MotoGP. He's not had a DNF so far in all of his 26 MotoGP starts. Hope that's not the commentator's curse on the Italian.
Chasing his best ever result in MotoGP. He was one position short of that last weekend. His best dry result 1 week ago for Luca Marini, having qualified on the front row of the grid. He stuck around at the front, finished just a few seconds off the winner. We thought on Friday we were seeing signs of the old Franco Morbidelli returning in MotoGP, the 2020 World Championship runner-up. It didn't quite pan out for him that way in qualifying yesterday. He was another of those riders who was so narrowly bumped out of qualifying one and missing out on a place in the top two. Morbidelli goes from 18th position on the grid, but he does feel he's got better pace on used tyres. New tyres are perhaps where he's weakest, so Franco Morbidelli will be looking to move forward. He starts on the back of row 6.
So Aleix Espargaro with his special one-off helmet here this weekend in tribute to the medical team who treated his twin daughter Mia, born on this Grand Prix weekend 4 years ago in 2018. Some heart complications meant she had to have 2 major operations, and thanking the medical team that treated her in those difficult early moments of her life. Aleix Espargaro with a wonderful tribute helmet here this weekend. He'd love it, I'm sure, to pay the ultimate tribute to those medics from the top step of the podium here today in Barcelona. Andrea Dovizioso then, you've got to go a long way back and 40 to find the With You Yamaha R&F rider. He starts today's race from 19th place. Really struggling for grip on that Yamaha, not able to carry corner speed. If you can't carry corner speed on the Yamaha, you're in big bother, aren't you? But Andrea Dovizioso, a former race winner here in Barcelona, of course, back in 2017, he starts from 19th.
Yeah, he hasn't been within 27 seconds of the race winner in any dry race yet in 2022. That gives you an idea of how much Andrea Dovizioso has been struggling. He tried a crazy setup on Friday to try to get to the bottom of his problems, and when you're doing that, you know that he's almost at a last resort on that Yamaha.
So it's been a fairy tale weekend so far for Aleix Espargaro. Will that fairy tale be completed in the next 45 minutes or so here in Barcelona? There's Stefan Bradl, of course. He'll be replacing Marc Marquez, while the 8-times world champion continues his long recovery from the latest in a sequence of right humerus operations. A bit further back as well, we've got Ducati test rider, the ultra-reliable and very fast Michele Pirro. He starts from 22nd on that gorgeous-looking Aruba-backed Ducati GP22. Some late tyre updates coming in here from Michelin. Apparently, Brad Binder, just having a quick look on the message coming through.
3 riders have switched to the medium rear tyre. Brad Binder and the 2 factory Suzukis of Alex Rins and Joan Mir. So Brad Binder, who was the sole rider who went to the grid on the hard front, hard rear, has made that switch. So Aprilia defending a 7-point lead in the World Championship in the Team Series. Fabio Quartararo then is on the front row as he tries to make it 3 wins here in Catalonia. Can Pecco Bagnaia make it back-to-back wins in 7 days? But it's the home hero chasing home glory here. Aleix Espargaro on pole in Barcelona. Does home glory await for Aleix Espargaro? He starts on pole position for the 2nd time this season, ahead of Pecco Bagnaia and Fabio Quartararo. The cream has risen to the top here in Barcelona this weekend. It's an all Ducati 2nd row with Zarco, Di Gianantonio and Marini. Maverick Vinales, can he make that soft rear tyre work from row 3? He's got the lead Suzuki of Alex Rins next to him. Honda's hopes lie on row 4 with Pol Espargaro and Taka Nakagami. Watch out for Enea Bastianini coming through from 14th on the grid. Brad Binder looking for more Sunday heroics from 15th position on the grid. It's all set up for a thrilling 24 laps in the heat of Barcelona.
So the temperature rising, the tension rising, the atmosphere building here The home crowd full of anticipation, full of expectation, as a man born just down the road here in nearby Granollers tries to take a famous home victory here in his home Grand Prix, the Monster Energy Grand Prix of Catalonia. The warm-up lap gets underway here, 24 laps. It's going to be very, very taxing, very demanding on tyres and on the brain and the body. Probably the toughest Grand Prix we've had so far this year. Confirmation of the crowd figure, 60,000 fans here have come through the turnstiles to see who will be victorious in round 9 of this year's 2022 MotoGP World Championship battle. Catalan and Bastianini make it 4 wins so far this season, coming from 14th place, or will it be, as Johan Zarco so eloquently put, the fantastic 3 on the front row fighting it out for the win? Aleix Espargaro on pole, Pecco Bagnaia goes from second, reigning world champion Fabio Quartararo there on the factory Yamaha, having just confirmed he's staying with Yamaha until the end of 2024 at least. He goes from that front row. Zarco feels like he's got podium potential from 4th. Alex Rins likewise coming from 7th.
Fabio Quartararo on the outside of the front row. The first couple of laps are going to be crucial for him. He's decided against that harder rear tyre, perhaps concerned about what it might mean for him in the opening couple of laps. Marc Marquez then watching on from home. MotoGP certainly misses Marc Marquez, an exhilarating and entertaining rider to watch. Of course, a former winner around here as well. He'll be watching along with the rest of us. A thrilling Grand Prix in prospect. Watch out for the tyre drop in the closing stages of the Grand Prix. The fastest man at the start of the Grand Prix will not necessarily be the fastest at the end.
Yeah, the heat is on in Barcelona without any question. Track temperature up to 55 degrees, ambient temperature around the early 30s. Great to see Marc Marquez tuning in then from Minnesota as he begins that latest recovery. MotoGP misses you, Marc. Millions of fans around the world miss you, Marc, as well. We wish you a speedy recovery. But right now, we're all set for the Battle of Barcelona in 2022. Pole to Aleix Espargaro. Last time out in Mugello, it was the 6th closest top 15 we've had in Premier Class history, the 8th closest top 10. It was an intense battle 7 days ago in the Tuscany Mountains. What lies in store now as we get set for 24 laps of pure drama, pure theatre here in Barcelona? Green flag waves at the back, and the MotoGP race here in Catalonia is go. It's a great launch from pole position by Aprilia's Aleix Espargaro. He made the dream start as he clicks through to top gear on the run down to the first corner. Fabio Quartararo likewise has got already through on Pecco Bagnaia, and Quartararo goes Quartararo has been whacked. Alex Rins, well, Pecco Bagnaia, sorry, has been taken out. We were on board with the Italian, we could see the contact. Fabio Quartararo was sensationally got Bagnaia and Aleix Espargaro on the brakes into the first corner, but Pecco Bagnaia taken out. Taka Nakagami, Alex Rins also down.
Yeah, so Fabio Quartararo clear of that. He leads them from Aleix Espargaro. Jorge Martin is up into 3rd position. Aleix Espargaro in 2nd place. His brother Paul also up into 4th position. Alex
Rins pretty slow to get to his feet there. We'll get a replay and find out exactly what's happened. Early drama here then, affecting one of the main protagonists in this race. Pecco Bagnaia got a great launch off the line. He'd just been passed for 2nd by Fabio Quartararo, and then he got clattered from behind. Nakagami and Rins also going down. Let's hope Alex Rins is okay, because that's another DNF for Rins. His wretched run goes on. That's going to be no points now in 4 consecutive races for Alex Rins, but what a blow for Pecco Bagnaia's World Championship. He crashed out when fighting for the podium, didn't he, in Le Mans a couple of races ago. Rebounded brilliantly with a stunning success in Mugello last weekend, but he's out early on here. Let's try and find out exactly what happened then. Running down to the first corner, Aleix Espargaro made the perfect launch from pole position. We're going to try and find out what happened here between Alex Rins and Taka Nakagami. You can see there Nakagami on the inside. There is Bagnaia. Oh, yeah. Nakagami lost the front on the brakes going in. It was a real small clip on the back of Pecco Bagnaia. It was enough, though, to skittle the Italian out. And poor Alex Rins on the outside got wiped out. That was clearly Nakagami's big mistake.
That's the 2nd consecutive weekend where Alex Rins' Grand Prix has ended after an incident with Taka Nakagami, so they will not be best friends. Look at the start that Joan Mir has made. He started 17th on the grid. He's already up to 7th. Stefan Bradl's out, so 2 of the Hondas have already come to grief in this Grand Prix, but we've got a 3-rider group at at the way at the front. Quartararo's upping the pace, and it's Jorge Martin attacking Aleix Espargaro.
Poor old Pecco Bagnaia, there wasn't a lot of contact. It was just a clip on his rear tyre, which is enough to send him careering into the gravel trap. Then back at the front, Fabio Quartararo, who escaped all that carnage. Would it have been a different story had he not got through on Pecco Bagnaia? He's the race leader then, the only man at the end of that first lap into the 144 straight away. Jorge Martin, can he get close enough to Aleix Espargaro? These two had a real good battle for the victory in low grip conditions in Argentina right at the start of the season. It went the way of Aleix Espargaro, but this is the best we've seen from Jorge Martin since that third round.
Maverick Viñales is still where he started, in 8th position on that softer rear tyre. He knew he had to make an important start. He didn't actually get the best of launches. He was swallowed up on the immediate run down to turn 1, but he's been let off the hook in some respects with the incident up ahead of him. Viñales still in 8th position. He's in that big group that's from 5th backwards, led by Pol Espargaro, but the front 4 at the moment have got a clear advantage out away in the front, and this is exactly what Fabio Quartararo needed. Andrea Dovizioso said the only way Quartararo can win this race is to lead from the start. That's exactly what he's doing.
It's been another unfortunate calamity in Catalonia, hasn't it, for Pecco Bagnaia. He's never had a World Championship podium finish here, and that horrible run is going to go on through no fault of his own. Fabio Quartararo at the moment, fantastic pace. He's done a 140.745 as Martin gets up the inside of Aleix Espargaro in the braking zone for the first corner, using some of that famous Ducati power down the main straight. Quartararo then the fastest man on the circuit with a 147.45. Martin was a couple of tenths further behind him. Pecco Bagnaia has rejoined the race. As we said, there was minimal damage to that factory Ducati. This will be a tough one to swallow for Bagnaia. The double blunder on lap 21 in Le Mans, that was all of his own doing, wasn't it? But this time around, nothing he could do. Hit from behind by Taki Nakagami's crashed LCR Honda. Nakagami, as Lewis mentioned, not in the good books of Alex Rins. Rins got absolutely walloped on the outside. Then he made a really good start from 7th place, but at the moment Quartararo just streaking away here. He's now nearly a second clear, coming through sector 2 on this lap 3 already.
What a start then, as mentioned, from Joan Mir. He's in 5th position from 17th on the grid. That's the perfect first lap for the other side of the Suzuki pit box. Then it's Pol Espargaro in 6th position. Marini holds 7th, head of Maverick Viñales. Fabio Di Giannantonio, who perhaps was delayed by the chaos around him at the start, he's in 9th, and Enea Bastianini in 10th as Maverick Viñales looks to attack Luca Marini. Pecco Bagnaia pits.
Yeah, he's decided to retire. He's called it a day. Nothing he could do about that one. This will be the bitterest of pills to swallow, though, won't it, for him? I think he's just going to go straight out the back of that Ducati garage. Let's keep an eye on then on number 30 by Nakagami. Oh, it looked like Nakagami may have been clipped by Pol Espargaro there. And that, oh, Rins, look at that. That's a horrendous crash for Alex Rins. I'm not just sure there whether there was perhaps a little bit of contact. No, maybe not, no. Oh, Rins got absolutely whacked. Nakagami's going to be in a bit of trouble there. Look at the fans' reaction. That was horrendous to see Alex Rins get properly slammed into there. His body hit the tarmac big time. That was horrible to watch. Poor old Pecco Bagnaia as well, getting caught in that one. Joan Mir's got a yield 1 position. That's not going to be easy in this big melee, is it, as well, because he's been guilty of overtaking under yellow flags.
Well, he has dropped a position since the start of the lap. He came over the line in 5th position. He's been overtaken by Marini.
Sorry, Lewis. Di Giannantonio was nearly down there into turn 5. He got that all out of shape there on that Gresini Ducati. That's cost him a couple of places as well.
Well, this is a nightmare scenario for Aleix Espargaro, currently sitting in 3rd position. The one thing he didn't want to be doing in the early stages of this Grand Prix was staring at the back of a Ducati, particularly given that Ducati is currently running 2nd, and Fabio Quartararo is streaking clear. 1.5 seconds is the lead at the halfway stage of this, the 4th lap. Quartararo's already pulled out 0.3 of a second so far on this lap. This is dream ticket for the reigning world champion. One of his main title contenders is out of the Grand Prix, and the other one's currently stuck in 3rd as Mir regains 5th position on Marini, only briefly though. The
only hope now for the chasing pack is Fabio Quartararo has some major grip problems in the last sort of 5, 6, 7 laps, which can happen. And that is a possibility because these guys, they know with these high temperatures and low grip levels, those last 5 or 6 laps are going to be absolutely pivotal in deciding the destiny of the victor in this Barcelona race. Fabio Quartararo is running such an electric pace at the front. He's half a second quicker again than Jorge Martin and Aleix Espargaro behind him. Aleix Espargaro just had his fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but it's still nowhere near the hot pace being set by Quartararo. This is a really good battle here between Mir and Marini. That's involving, well, 5th place. Bastianini trying to come back through the pack as well from 14th. He's making a good fist of it.
He's just took 2 of them into turn 1. He was 9th over the line. He's just gone past Viñales and Pol Espargaro. So the Bastianini comeback continues. Alex Rins just stretching out his left hand. You can see how sore he is. Just the look in his eyes there. That was a sore crash. Yeah, you can see there attacking Nakagami, just losing the front end there. No way was he stopping that. Bagnaia gets hit, and then the big whack. Alex Rins, nothing you could do about that. That's horrible. That's a sickening crash, the sickening impact. One of the most violent crashes you'll see Alex Rins have, and that was a tough one. And Nakagami as well, his face went straight into the back of Pecco Bagnaia's tail of his Ducati. You saw the visor immediately come out of the helmet of Nakagami, so hopefully he's okay too. But a disastrous start. What is it about that first corner? We've seen drama there in the past in MotoGP, and drama again, 2 of the key contenders out. Yeah, was it back in 1998, I think it was, with Max Biaggi, we've seen here this weekend, was fighting for the 500cc World Championship. Alex Crivier went down at the first corner in an incident involving a Suzuki as well that weekend. That really put a massive dent in Crivier's championship challenge. And then Max Biaggi was passing under the yellow flags, wasn't it? I think it was, which cost him dearly. So back at the front, no, Marco Bezzecchi's gone down then. Marco Bezzecchi was outside of the top 10 trying to recover some lost ground, and he's crashed out. Pecco Bagnaia did say this was going to be a Grand Prix of survival. He didn't expect to be down out in an incident of controversy at the first corner. Now Marco Bezzecchi's gone down at turn number 10. So 5 riders out of the Grand Prix already. This is the battle for 2nd place between Martin and Aleix Espargaro. They have closed in ever so slightly on the pace of Quartararo, but they are still lapping slower than him, 1.8 seconds behind him. This is the battle involving the 2 factory KTMs of Brad Binder, who's now past Pol Espargaro. Pol Espargaro's going backwards, look. He's now being eased aside by Miguel Oliveira as well, and Fabio Di Giannantonio looks like he's lining up to make a move on Pol Espargaro. So a disastrous start to the Grand Prix for Honda is only getting worse.
Yeah, he's going the wrong way, Pol Espargaro. He's always struggled in baking hot conditions. That's the case again at the moment on that Repsol Honda RC213V as Fabio Quartararo just continues to streak away at the front. No further action then taken involving the incident involving Nakagami, Bagnaia and Rins.
Well, all 3 of them out of the Grand Prix, so any punishment they could hand out would be a punishment that would carry over into the next Grand Prix in the Saxon Ring. They've opted not to do that. Here is the race leader then, Fabio Quartararo. On this lap, the lead is holding steady at around 1.8 to 1.9 seconds. This is just, as I say, what Fabio Quartararo needed, and I guess maybe he's thinking I can make hay while the sun shines. I think they're all expecting some sort of tyre drop towards the end of this Grand Prix. How severe it is the big question, but Quartararo, I suppose, if he can get as far up the road as possible, any tyre drop is likely to come into play. He's going to have a bit of time in hand to try and manage that lead in the closing stages. We're completing lap 6 then of 24, 1/4 race distance. Quartararo does another 1:40.3. He's so good in that final sector. He pulls 0.3 of a second out on Jorge Martin and Aleix Espargaro behind him. The lead now for the first time is over 2 seconds. Yeah, and these guys now need something pretty dramatic to happen to Fabio Quartararo in the latter stage of this Grand Prix, because they can't just get on par with his pace. Again, Quartararo 0.4 quicker than Martin, half a second quicker than Aleix Espargaro. Here's Maverick Viñales then, trying to find a way through on Enea Bastianini. That's going to be a tough challenge. Started P8, he's made no further progress forward at the moment, has he, Maverick Viñales, on that soft rear tyre. How long will that hang in there as well? We're still such a long way to go in this Grand Prix. We're only at 3rd race distance almost, on lap number 7. Quartararo in a complete class of his own at the moment. He's still 2.2 seconds clear. He's gained another 10th on Martin in sector 2. It's been a poor day already for the factory Ducati team, of course, with Pecco Bagnaia out of this Grand Prix. Well, their sole remaining contender, Jack Miller, is not having a good afternoon. He's down in 16th position at the moment, so something clearly happened to him on the first lap as well. Of course, he saw in Mugello 1 week ago. He was down towards the back of the field and just could not go anywhere. Miller at the moment having a very familiar experience. And that's going to be a tough prospect for Maverick Viñales. He can't find a way through as yet on Enea Bastianini. You just wonder, having had to work so hard to get onto the rear tyre of the Italian, how much of that soft rear tyre will Viñales start using up here to keep himself in this top 10 battle. It's been an excellent ride, this by Joan Mir. Yes, he's been a little bit fortunate not to have to worry about getting through on the likes of Alex Rins, his teammate Taka Nakagami and Pecco Bagnaia, of course.
but 17th he started this race, Joan Mir, so 5th place. That would have been way better than what he would have expected. Aleix Espargaro has got a real big conundrum here because he just cannot find a way through, can he, on Jorge Martin. The Ducati's horsepower advantage down the main straight, and then of course you can't just get close enough because Aleix Espargaro knows if he gets too close, that front tyre temperature, that front tyre pressure will just go through the roof. It was a problem he's encountered in a couple of races, Jerez and Le Mans recently. So he's got to pick his moment. He's got to be super precise here. And at the moment, Jorge Martin is just running the perfect race. He's not giving Aleix Espargaro any chance to show him his front wheel.
And they've got Joan Zarco just behind him as well. He's a second and a half behind, running a solid race at the moment in 4th position, pulling clear of that group further back. So at the moment, Zarco in a rather lonely 4th
Somebody's
place.
gone down.
Somebody's
gone
left
down.
of screen.
Bastianini's gone down again. Well, can you believe it? Ducati's World Championship Challenge is evaporating rapidly here in MotoGP in Barcelona because we've lost Pecco Bagnaia through no fault of his own at the start of the Grand Prix, and now it's going to be another DNF for the Italian. Successive DNFs in the space of a week. Into turn 5 goes Bastianini. It's another front-end washout. How many times have we seen that crash for the former Moto2 world champion in recent weeks? And it's all crumbling for the Bologna factory in terms of the World Championship. Fabio Quartararo now with a golden chance to put clear daylight between himself and the chasing pack. What an opportunity this is for the reigning champ. He's comfortably clear, nearly 2.5 seconds, as Enea Bastianini again blows it here.
He won't believe his luck when he sees what's going on behind him. That 4th sector is where Fabio Quartararo is absolutely untouchable, using the corner speed of that Yamaha through those long right-handers. Fabio Di Giannantonio is also dropping down the screen. I think we've lost both. We have both Gresini Ducatis down on the same lap.
Can this day get any more dismal for Ducati? Bagnaia out at the first corner. Marco Bezzecchi out at turn 10, Bastianini out at turn 5, and now just a few corners later, Fabio Di Giannantonio's promising week comes to a disappointing end as well. A couple of real nasty barrel rolls through the gravel trap for him. Pecco Bagnaia said yesterday this was going to be all about surviving in terms of the temperature and the tyre life and the strain on your body. This is probably the toughest race of the season we've had so far, and we're starting to see riders fall by the wayside. Marco Bezzecchi, he's come back into the pits. He did rejoin briefly, but he's in the pits on that Mooney VR46 Ducati. There's no way that the Giannantonio and Bastianini are getting back into this race. So it's been a bit of a disaster here in Barcelona for Ducati.
And it's really coming up trumps for Fabio Quartararo, isn't it, as we ride on board with his closest World Championship contender. And it looks like he's going to be the only close contender at the moment to Fabio Quartararo in the World Championship chase as it stands at the moment. And these are crucial points that Aleix Espargaro needs to try and salvage. He starts this race 8 points behind Fabio Quartararo. That would be extended as it stands to 17 if Aleix Espargaro finishes in 3rd position. And we saw in Argentina in a Grand Prix that Aleix Espargaro ultimately won. He had to really work hard, didn't he, despite his dominant pace on that day, to get past Jorge Martin, who is such a difficult rider to overtake. Now that he's rediscovered that old feeling once again with that Pramac Ducati, he's able to brake as late as he needs. He's going to need to brake late here. Look, so Aleix Espargaro's up the inside of it.
Aleix Espargaro then does finally make his move. Is it too little too late to win his home Grand Prix here in Barcelona? What we saw from Aleix Espargaro when he was racing Jack Miller and Marc Marquez in Jerez a few weeks ago, once he got through, he had by far the superior pace. He was able to blitz away from the Australian and the Spaniard. So can Aleix Espargaro quickly dispense of Jorge Martin? It looks like he can. Straight away, he's put daylight between himself and his fellow Spaniard. But 3.2 seconds up the road is Fabio Quartararo, 3.3 seconds now in Sector 1. And Quartararo, again, on that previous lap, a 1:46.03. That was 0.6 quicker than Martin in 2nd place. He's just been operating on a different level so far today, Fabio Quartararo. It's all about now his time management. Has he gone pushing too hard too soon, or was he thinking, well, okay, I'm going to try and break away, open a gap, and then just manage the tyres towards the back end of the race, just like he did to survive a late Suzuki onslaught here 2 years ago?
For the first time in the Grand Prix last time around, Jorge Martin was down in the 141s, which was why Aleix Espargaro was climbing all over the back of him and had to make that move because Joan Zarco was closing in on them. Zarco was still in the 140s. There's only a few riders out there, a handful of them, lapping in the 140s. Quartararo, Zarco, Joan Mir and Luca Marini, who set his personal best lap last time around. Marini, really, along with Zarco and Martin, the only really Ducati runners left in any kind of competitive position in this Grand Prix.
Taka Nakagami's been taken to the medical centre for a precautionary check-up. No great surprise after that horrible incident at turn 1, which he did instigate. And as Lewis spotted, his head hitting hard on the rear of Pecco Bagnaia's factory Ducati, so let's hope that Taka Nakagami is going to be okay. So at the moment, the current Red Bull KTM teammates, probably not for much longer as we get into 2023. It looks like Miguel Oliveira onto pastures new next season. And Enea Bastianini can't believe it. He starts the post-mortem there with his crew chief Alberto Girabiola. They look completely baffled. Bastianini's kind of suggesting there with his body language, well, I don't think I did anything wrong. Don't really think I was pushing any harder in that turn 5 than any other lap. But he is down and out, and it's another big blow for his world title hopes. No points in Mugello, no points in Barcelona. A tough 7 days for Enea Bastianini.
Martin's already really suffering in this Grand Prix. We're only on lap 11 of 24. We're coming up towards half distance, but for the second consecutive lap, Martin was way down in the 141s. At 141.367. His teammate Johan Zarco is flying though. He's 7/10 a lap faster. Zarco was actually the fastest rider on track last time around. We saw it last year. Zarco finished this Grand Prix very strongly. He looks as if he's on target to do something very similar this time around.
Yeah, you just wonder at the moment whether Jorge Martin just struggling both with tyres and a little bit of physicality as well. He has had problems with that numbness in his right hand and his right arm with the nerve problem, a legacy of the FP3 crash in Portimao well over a year ago now. That's why he needs corrective surgery here in Barcelona tomorrow. We're on board then with Johan Zarco. He was on the podium here last year. He's got that hard rear tyre on, so that should play into his hands in the latter stage of this Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo, though, has checked out at the front. He's still in the 140s. How on earth is Quartararo still lapping in the 140s in these excessive hot conditions with the grip levels as low as what they are? Quartararo on lap 11, a 149.24.
Here comes Oliveira then, past his teammate Brad Binder briefly. Oliveira going way out wide into the runoff at turn 1, unable to outbrake his teammate Brad Binder. Oliveira forced to rejoin via the exit of the long lap penalty loop and try and launch another challenge on Brad Binder, but the KTM battle goes on. They're battling for 8th at the moment. Just behind them is Alex Marquez, who's having a good afternoon considering he started stone dead last in this Grand Prix, 25th on the grid. He's up into 10th. Darren Binder next up in 11th. He's having another good afternoon after a great weekend last time out in Mugello. He's ahead of Pol Espargaro, whose plummet down the field continues. He's lapping in the 142s at the moment.
Yeah, Pol Espargaro is now already on lap 12, over 16 seconds behind race leader Fabio Quartararo. It's been a pretty humbling home Grand Prix so far for the younger of the Espargaro siblings. This was the race start then. On board with Pecco Bagnaia, on board with Alex Espargaro rather. No, that is Pecco Bagnaia, sorry, yeah, that's the correct graphic. So Pecco Bagnaia then got a really good launch down towards the first corner, and then mayhem is about to go off just behind him. That's Quartararo, brilliant on the brakes. You just saw there Taka Nakagami losing the front end, and it was an almighty clattering into Alex Rins and Pecco Bagnaia. Initially, just from one of those camera angles, I wasn't sure whether there'd been a little bit of contact as Nakagami ran in front of Pol Espargaro, whether he just clipped Pol Espargaro's front tyre. He clearly didn't. It was all Nakagami's crash. A big mistake by Taka Nakagami. Horrible collision there involving him, in particular Alex Rins, and face planting the back of Pecco Bagnaia's Ducati as well. It was not a crash you want to see too often. It was a pretty horrible way, awful way to kick off this Barcelona Grand Prix.
For the first time in this Grand Prix then, the chasing group battling for 2nd, 3rd and 4th were ever so slightly faster than Fabio Quartararo, not talking by much. Quartararo for the first time in the 41s, 41.007. Alex Espargaro did a 141 dead, as you can now see on your screens. But the two proud Ducatis, Martin clearly regrouping a little bit. He's back into the 140s last time around. Johan Zarco also setting pretty good pace further back. But further back, there's some other riders who are really struggling. Pol Espargaro has lost another couple of places. He's now down to 15th position. Both Jack Miller, Remy Gardner and Franco Morbidelli are all past him. If it carries on for much longer, Pol Espargaro is going to be out of the points altogether.
Yeah, everybody out there at the moment is feeling the pace. They're feeling the heat, as you would expect. Fabio Quartararo's best lap of the Grand Prix was a 140.186 on lap number 3. On that last lap, he was nearly a second slower. So Quartararo, as Jorge Martin comes back into this contention for 2nd place, so the lap times are significantly dropping off, as we expected, by nearly a second already, and we're just to the halfway point. How further will the consumption be on these rear tyres?
Fabio Quartararo's real trump card so far has been that final sector. He's been able to eke out a couple of tenths every lap, despite the chasing group matching him through most of the lap. Quartararo back into the 140s last time around, so the pace is dropping off, but he's able to manage it, and once again pulling out time in that final sector. That chasing group back in the 41s again. Zarco, though, still in the 40s on that harder rear tyre. Zarco might well be sitting pretty in this battle for second.
Class this from Quartararo. He just got himself back into the 140s. This is brilliant by Fabio Quartararo. He's now nearly 4 seconds clear of this intense battle raging for second place. It's still advantage Aleix Espargaro, not by much though. Johann Zarco is the quickest man of this trio, trying to capitalise on potentially the more endurance and durability out of that hard rear tyres Lewis mentioned. Mir still in 5th place. He can't break the shackles of Luca Marini, who's hanging on there on course for back-to-back dry race top 6s. Be a good spell in his MotoGP world career for Luca Marini. There is Mir then coming through turn 5 in P5. He's a long, long way back though of Johann Zarco. 3.1 seconds over the line to start this lap 14. He was behind the Frenchman, so his immediate challenge will be just to make sure that he keeps this 5th place intact and doesn't come under any real pressure from Luca Marini. Viñales in 7th, Binder in 8th, and it's Oliveira 9th, with Alex Marquez rounding out the top 10. It's a great ride by Alex Marquez because he's going to be feeling really second-hand, battered and bruised after a horrendous high-speed front-end washout into turn 14 at the end of FP4. A salvage job for a top 10 for Alex Marquez. Well, that will feel like a podium, won't it? Brilliant stuff.
We're not seeing any immediate benefit or obvious benefit for that softer rear tyre that Maverick Viñales is running. Of course, Alex Marquez, like him, is on that softer rear tyre, so in terms of physicality and grip, Alex Marquez could find himself struggling in the closing stages of this Grand Prix, but it's Aleix Espargaro who's now coming under threat. He's got the power of the Ducati all over the back of him. Jorge Martin looking to try and pull out from behind that Aprilia, but unable to get close enough on the brakes to make a move on Aleix Espargaro. 141.3 last time round for Aleix Espargaro. He lost a quarter of a second to Jorge Martin. The Pramac Ducatis are faster at the moment than Aleix Espargaro. The race winner's gone. If Aleix Espargaro is thinking like a world championship contender, these are 20 crucial points you need to try and hang on to here. How
many times have we said it so far this season? A world champion drive from the world champion Fabio Quartararo. He's just operating on a completely different level in this Grand Prix. He just had another lap in the 140s. Nobody can get anywhere near the pace of Quartararo. He doesn't really need to be pushing this hard at this stage of the Grand Prix, but he's still finding high 140s. 4.4 seconds he is now through sector 2 on this lap number 16. Jorge Martin, when will he pick his moment to try and take away some crucial World Championship points on Aleix Espargaro? It's one thing to get next to a rider in MotoGP these days, it's another thing to pass him, not just with the fact that you've got front tyre pressure and temperature to contend with, but everybody's so good now on the brakes with the aero packages, with the downforce it creates. Although Aleix Espargaro is in a little bit hot, a fraction wide there into turn 10. There's no way through though for Martin.
No way through yet for Jorge Martin. We've still got 9 laps to go when they come across the line next time around. There'll be no way through here in this final sector for Jorge Martin. Looking further down, the rookies are having a good afternoon. The rookies that are remaining in this Grand Prix. Remy Gardner's just moved up the field. He's just got ahead of Franco Morbidelli up into 13th position, which just shows once again the vast difference between the factory Yamahas at the moment in this Grand Prix. But this is the closest Martin has been.
Quartararo again, 6/10 faster. Can Jorge Martin? He's got alongside Aleix Espargaro in the braking zone. We're on board with the Aprilia man. Perfect timing. Has Jorge Martin made it stick? He certainly has. They flick it left then through turn 3. Now hard right through this tyre punishing long sweeping right-hander turn number 3. And in terms of the championship, this is a crucial few points that Aleix Espargaro surrendering. He has a good long look over his left shoulder there, and he'll get a face full of Johann Zarco's number 5. He's stuck in a Prima Pramac Ducati sandwich right now, isn't he, Aleix Espargaro? It's not been the victory challenge many of us expected. That's all gone the way of Fabio Quartararo, but it's imperative now for his title hopes that Aleix Espargaro minimum hangs on to a podium finish here.
If anything, the gap's pulling out, isn't it, already on this lap? Jorge Martin's pulled out 0.3 of a second just in that second sector to Aleix Espargaro. This was the move then on the brakes. Of course, the power of that Ducati down the start-finish straight, enabling Jorge Martin to pull alongside Aleix Espargaro. Ran ever so slightly wide into turn 1, but Aleix Espargaro in no position to fight back.
He was sticking his right leg out there as an air brake, wasn't he, Martin? You could see that Pramac Ducati was snaking sideways left and right. That's how hard he had to push to make that move safe on the inside of Aleix Espargaro. Great job then by Jorge Martin. let's hope that this operation he has in Barcelona tomorrow rids him of this kind of niggling, this lingering nerve problem in the right wrist, and he's going to be fully fit back in Germany. Not an easy challenge to muscle a MotoGP bike around that tight and twisty Sachsenring circuit, as the runaway race leader Fabio Quartararo ticks off lap number 16, and he's comfortably clear now. His advantage 5.1 seconds over Jorge Martin in second place. This has been a demolition job so far by the reigning world champ.
Yeah, I'm not sure he came to Barcelona, particularly when Friday panned out the way it did, expecting to win this Grand Prix. He spoke on Friday saying that if the Grand Prix had taken place then, in the conditions and the situation that Fabio Quartararo was in, it would have been a damage limitation job. Look at that front tyre already for Aleix Espargaro, that medium front tyre already starting to cry enough. Aleix Espargaro, understandably, in a bit of strife with that situation on that Michelin front tyre.
Yeah, we're coming to the point of the race now. 8 laps to go, 7.5 laps to go, where you really are going to find out who's kept the best life in those tyres. Anxious faces, as you'd expect, down the factory Aprilia team. They would have seen that excessive wear on Aleix Espargaro's medium front tyre. Johann Zarco, having got close to this battle for second place, has not really been able to sort of force the issue, has he, and get close to his teammate Martin or Aleix Espargaro ahead of him to try and find a way through into second place. You just wonder whether he's having to just sit off that battle to just try and keep the front tyre temperature and pressure down, because that's a problem which we've heard repeatedly from so many riders, exasperated, of course, in these extremely hot conditions with ambient temperature well in excess of 30 degrees.
This is the race pace of Fabio Quartararo. Look at that. Of course, it's not the consistency in terms of lap time that you'd have expected at other circuits, if you think back to Portimao, but he's been managing that rear tyre drop as he goes through the race, but he's only been dropping off by maybe a tenth of a second per lap. We've seen a number of riders have a much more severe drop than that. No one has really been able to get into the 140s on any kind of consistent basis. Quartararo was doing it for fun early on.
That last lap, that 1:41.529, was his slowest of the Grand Prix so far, but he can back off. He can ease off because he's got a commanding 5-second lead. There he goes then. Look at that, 62 degrees of lean angle. He's a lean, mean fighting machine, isn't he, Fabio Quartararo? Well on course for just his second victory of the season to really find more momentum into an already very positive defence of his MotoGP World Crown. He was slightly slower on that previous lap than this quartet directly behind him, but as we said, it's all immaterial because he's got to this phase of the Grand Prix now, Quartararo, where he can just stage manage it, he can ease off, he can just nurse those tyres to the checkered flag, having built up such what seems like an invincible advantage.
A few riders in real trouble further back. Andrea Dovizioso has just pulled into the pits. He was running in 18th position, so Dovizioso looks like he's out of this Grand Prix. Pol Espargaro is now second last of the riders who are out there. He's lapping in the mid-143s, would you believe? Pol Espargaro, he's only got Michele Pirro behind him. The beneficiary of that is Raul Fernandez, who's just gone past him. As it stands, Raul Fernandez could finally be on for his first World Championship point. Aleix Espargaro out wide there by the looks of it, into turn 10. He's coming under increasing pressure from the Pramac Ducatis, the one ahead that's pulling away, and the one behind of Zarco, which is looking an increasing threat.
Is Aleix Espargaro just having big troubles with that front tyre? He just was wide again, wasn't he, in the braking zone for turn 10, or was it just the fact that he got a bit of slipstream out of turn 9 and got sucked in by the slipstream effect from Jorge Martin's Ducati directly ahead of him? Pol Espargaro, as Lewis mentioned, he's having the home race from hell, isn't he? It's a real disastrous day for him, dropping outside the point scoring places. On board then was Johann Zarco, clicks that Ducati into 6th gear, approaching 350 kilometres an hour. He's been there on the back of Martin and Aleix Espargaro for a good number of laps now, but he just cannot get close enough to launch an attack, can he, Zarco? Is he just biding his time and waiting? He knows he's not going to win because Fabio Quartararo's gone. Is he just thinking, OK, I'm going to just save a bit of rear tyre, then come on strong at this later stage of the Grand Prix? Well, we'll soon find out, won't we?
Well, that harder rear tyre could well be a trump card. Aleix Espargaro looked ever so slightly wide there again, but he carries the corner speed, a slightly wider line for Aleix Espargaro, so that's no real problem. Zarco losing a little bit of ground there on the way out of turn 4. Aleix Espargaro looks like he might be coming back ever so slightly at Jorge Martin on this lap. Aleix Espargaro has so often had very good late race pace in Grand Prix so far this season, and you do wonder for Jorge Martin. He has said that that physical issue with his hand has potentially come into play in the closing laps. It was the last 3 or 4 laps in Mugello where his hand started to fall asleep, as he put it. Let's hope that Jorge Martin, from his point of view, doesn't enter any similar problems here.
A podium must still be a fantastic result for Aleix Espargaro in front of his home crowd. It'll continue his fantastic start to 2022, but it's not what he expected. It's not what so many people in the paddock and watching all around the world expected. We thought it was going to be another victory for Aprilia, their second in the MotoGP era, but it just has not panned out like that at all. It wasn't a bad start from pole for Aleix Espargaro, but once Fabio Quartararo attacked him hard and aggressive on the brakes into turn one, Aleix Espargaro has not been able to get into the pace that we expected, and he's now desperately trying to find a way through to secure those vital extra 4 points. He's going to maybe move out the slipstream here on Jorge Martin. He's not going to be close enough though to get through on his fellow Spaniard.
Yeah, maybe just cooling that front tight once again there, Aleix Espargaro. Fabio Quartararo is still able to lap in the mid-141s. Here's Alex Marquez then, who's having a very, very good afternoon. Given what's happened to him this weekend, a top 10 finish for Alex Marquez. Of course, there are only 2 Hondas left in this Grand Prix, but he's quite comfortably ahead of Paul Espargaro, who's way down in 16th position at the moment. That'll be a fine, fine result for Alex Marquez. He's ahead of the likes of Jack Miller, who's still struggling down in 11th position. He's got a couple of rookies right on his tail. Darren Binder and Remy Gardner are closing in on Miller, and Franco Morbidelli is also involved in that battle. They're battling for 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th.
Talk about a rise full of grit and determination. Talk about gritting your teeth and riding through the pain barrier. What a job Alex Marquez is doing. Not quite. I think many people expect him maybe not even to participate in his home Grand Prix here today after that really high-speed front-end washout in turn 14 at the end of FP4. If he can rescue a top 10, absolutely fantastic. He really is digging deep here, Alex Marquez, to try and get to what's been a top 10s have been few and far between of late for the man who's been struggling on that factory Honda, fighting, of course, for his MotoGP future. There's all kinds of rumours that Lucio Cecchinello may be willing to cut both Alex Marquez and Taka Nakagami loose at the end of 2022. But rides like this will keep Alex Marquez at the forefront of Cecchinello's mind.
Well, if anyone's got any rear tyre grip left, we're going to see it now. 4 laps to go as Quartararo does another 141.5. Martino's back down to the 42s now. Are we now seeing this drop as Aleix Espargaro now pulls out of the slipstream? He is up the inside this time. Can he get that Aprilia stopped into turn 1? He can. He makes the apex comfortably, so the home crowd and the Aprilia team will like that as their man moves back up into second.
Great move, and great for his World Championship as well, because he's just rescued another 4 points there, so trying to limit the damage here after Fabio Quartararo's brilliance. It will be Avantage Quartararo going to round 10 in Germany in a couple of weeks' time, 13 clear of Aleix Espargaro, then a big gap sent back to Enea Bastianini in third. 53 points for the Ducati man who crashed out at turn 5 early on in the race. We can't even see Pecco Bagnaia on that graphic because, of course, his involvement in that nasty incident at the first corner means Bagnaia is going to lose 1 place if Johan Zarco stays upright and stays on board that Pramac Ducati. But this could be a big day. This could be a decisive day when we look back maybe at the final reckoning in Valencia in early November with Bagnaia out of contention. This could be, and Bastianini out, of course, as well. And if Fabio Quartararo is to retain that World Championship, he may well look back on this Barcelona battle and think, yeah, that was one of the key moments of the season.
If it stays like this, Pecco Bagnaia will go to the Sachsenring 66 points behind Fabio Quartararo, which even with so many races to go, 11 races still to go in this World Championship, that is an awful lot of points. Pecco Bagnaia ran out of races last year to close the gap on Fabio Quartararo. 66 points after 9 Grand Prix is a big bridge to try and overcome.
The problem is Fabio Quartararo is able to marry fantastic speed with great consistency. He's able to push that Yamaha to its absolute limit without stepping over it and falling off. He's had 1 DNF in the last 26 races coming into this Barcelona Grand Prix, and that was in Portimao last year. You kind of forgive him that one, excuse him that one, because he'd already won the World Championship, maybe just not at full focus. Some of the celebrations from Mazzano maybe are still hanging over, but this man, he just does not make mistakes on Sundays, does he? He's always there or thereabouts. When he hasn't had the speed so far this year, he's kind of took his medicine and just gone, okay, I'll just pick up as many points as I possibly can. You catch your minds back to the 9th place in in Qatar, the 8th in Argentina, the 7th in Texas, where they were really tough Grand Prix, but he didn't let his head drop. He kept his motivation, kept his focus. It's no wonder that man there we just saw on your screens, Lin Jarvis, was so desperate and anxious to get this man signed on a new 2-year contract. Whatever they paid Fabio Quartararo to sign that deal here this weekend, to stay on an M1 for 2023 and 2024, well, it was worth every single penny.
It was almost missed in the chaos of the first corner, the instant between Bagnaia, Nakagami and Rins, but the crucial moment for Fabio Quartararo was turn 1, wasn't it? The move up the inside, he outbraked Aleix Espargaro into turn 1, swooped up the inside of him, he left his braking solo. We got the perfect view of it on that replay from the shoulder cam of Pecco Bagnaia as Fabio Quartararo stormed past the pole man, and from that point of view, Quartararo hasn't been headed. It wasn't as if Aleix Espargaro was stuck in traffic early on. He ran in second in the very early stages of this Grand Prix. He just didn't have an answer for the incredible pace that Fabio Quartararo has had. Another mid-141 for him. If there is any kind of tyre drop for Fabio Quartararo, he's doing a good job of masking it at the moment, isn't he? 5.7 seconds up the road. Aleix Espargaro might well have just enough in hand now to see off Jorge Martin. 7/10 of a second of an advantage, and there is no obvious benefit of that harder rear tyre for Johann Zarco. He slipped only a second behind his teammate in 4th.
Barring any late collapse here for Fabio Quartararo, he's on course and cruising towards an 11th career victory, a 10th in the MotoGP World Championship, and he'll take complete control of this year's title chase. It will be his 29th career podium as well, and there's few have been better than this previously, because this has been pure exhibition stuff from the Frenchman. There's been a lot of French fans here in the crowd who crossed the border. They didn't see him take the victory in front of his home crowd in Le Mans, but the French fans who have come to watch Fabio Quartararo here this weekend, they're going to be absolutely ecstatic, because this has been one of his most dominant performances of his Grand Prix career. Nearly 6 seconds clear he is now as we come now towards the final lap here in Barcelona.
This will be a confidence-boosting result for Joan Mir, currently in 5th position. You could see how much movement there was from that Suzuki. He will be scrambling for grip, as they all will be now in this final lap and a half. Mir's actually faster than Johann Zarco ahead of him, but 3.5 seconds of empty tarmac between them. Mir will have to settle for 5th position. He's seen off the challenge of Luca Marini. Marini's also in a very safe 6th position. That will be back-to-back top 6 finishes for the Mooney VR46 man. Another good result for him, but we're about to start the final lap with Fabio Quartararo, whose race pace just isn't dropping off at all. He continues to hammer away in the mid-41s, 1 lap away from the completion of another Quartararo masterclass.
It's been superb from the Yamaha man. Aleix Espargaro's got a problem. Can you believe this on the last lap? Aleix Espargaro is withdrawing from this Barcelona Grand Prix on the last lap. He had his hand up. We just saw there Jorge Martin came through on him down the main straight.
Where's he got his thumb up?
Does he think the race is finished? I think he thinks
just
it's
realised.
over. Oh my goodness, can you believe it? What a howler by Aleix Espargaro. We thought it was a mechanical. He thought the race was over. He's made an incredible miscalculation. Aleix Espargaro thought his home Grand Prix was over. He thought he'd taken 2nd place. That's one of the most incredible blunders I've ever seen. Can you believe it? I think Julian Simon did it here in Barcelona in the Moto2 Grand Prix.
He's suddenly having to overtake Luca Marini.
Unbelievable scenes here in Barcelona. Premature celebration for Aleix Espargaro. He thought he'd taken a hard-fought 2nd place. He's dropped down to 5th. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in a number of years. Incredible. It's all playing into the hands of this man then, Fabio Quartararo. All of his Christmases have come at once here in Catalonia. What a remarkable ending to this MotoGP race here, the Catalan Grand Prix. Aleix Espargaro throws away a certain podium. I'm almost speechless here in the commentary box. Incredible. But Fabio Quartararo comes through the final corner. It's been class from him. Quartararo conquers the Catalan Grand Prix. A truly dominant performance by the reigning world champion. Jorge Martin will take 2nd place. It's going to be 2 Prima Prama Ducatis on the podium in the most bizarre circumstances. An absolute gift for 2 Frenchmen. Fabio Quartararo takes the win. It's going to be head in hands for Aleix Espargaro. He comes over the line and takes the checkered flag in 5th place. Remarkably, he thought the race had finished when there was 1 lap still to go. He thought he'd taken 2nd place and 20 World Championship points. What's been an outstanding weekend for Aleix Espargaro ends in embarrassment, really. Red-faced, for the Aprilia man. He can't believe it. Such a rookie
error.
Yeah,
We've seen that before in the lightweight class. I've never seen that before in the Premier class of Grand Prix racing. Aleix Espargaro,
unbelievable.
I don't know whether because he was so far behind Fabio Quartararo, he's looked at the gantry and thought it was the final lap, but it was the final lap for Quartararo because he was way up the road. But Aleix Espargaro, he lost 8 seconds on the final lap as he was waving to the crowd on the outside of turn 1. He then looked over to his right and saw the field still pushing and had to quickly get back into action. He did pass Luca Marini again on that final lap, but that's cost him 9 World Championship points.
Quite an astonishing finish here to the Catalan Grand Prix in Barcelona. A stunning performance, a dominant performance by this young man. 23-year-old Frenchman Fabio Quartararo does make it into double figures in terms of MotoGP victories. 25 points. He was on a different level in that Grand Prix, but can you believe what happened right at the end of the penultimate lap? Aleix Espargaro thought his race was over, but he comes over the line in 5th place. Let's go down to Amy Reynolds for some reaction.
Lynn Jarvis, Fabio today was just in an absolute league of his own. This weekend obviously started off with the news that he's re-signed with Yamaha for a further two years. I bet that feels just so much more important today, just seeing how dominant he was.
I mean, honestly, this weekend has been pretty special for us because obviously to announce the renewal with Fabio, to announce the renewal with Monster Energy, to be in the Monster Energy Grand Prix and to win like that, it's like, that's as good as it gets.
Absolutely, congratulations.
Thank you very much, thank you.
This is the moment, thanks to Amy with Lynn Jarvis, that's the moment where Aleix Espargaro's heart sinks, quite literally. Can you believe it? He miscounted the laps. When he sort of slapped the tank there, I thought, but that's why I thought there was a mechanical problem. And he started slowing down. And when he hit the tank, I thought it's been a mechanical. And then he started waving to the crowd. Then he saw Jorge Martin, Joan Zarco, and Joan Mir still at full racing speed. And at that moment, it's the sickening realization that he's dropped the biggest blunder of his Grand Prix career. Astonishing. I can't believe what we've just witnessed here in Barcelona. What we have witnessed is an utter sensational performance from the world champion Fabio Quartararo. But can you believe it? Aleix Espargaro celebrating a lap too early and throwing away a safe 2nd place.
Yeah, 9 World Championship points have passed him by, and there's the reception from the team. Given what Aleix Espargaro has done for that team, they will surely forgive that. Aleix Espargaro, a sympathetic round of applause for him at his home Grand Prix. It's turned into a nightmare. He doesn't want to speak to anyone. Inconsolable Aleix Espargaro. Who knows how crucial that moment could be in the World Championship. We've seen nothing today to suggest that Aleix Espargaro cannot compete for the World Championship. Aprilia certainly don't want the cameras on their captain, but how crucial could those 9 points be at the end of the season?
That's a tough watch. That is a real tough watch there, Aleix Espargaro back in the Aprilia garage, and that will be tough to take. Not for this man, though, Fabio Quartararo, because he's been absolutely brilliant. Top job by him. But Aleix Espargaro, beside himself in that factory Aprilia garage. He was out there for over 40 minutes and 30 seconds, pushing to the absolute limit, thinking he got a home podium, a dream home podium, and he throws it all away with an inexcusable mistake, really. I mean, such a basic error for a rider of his experience. This is appearance number 290 in the World Championship for Aleix Espargaro. He won't need us to tell him that he's dropped the ball big time here today. This man could not care less, though, could he? Because Fabio Quartararo was supreme here in the sunshine in Barcelona. Wow, could we have had a more dramatic conclusion than that? We thought it wasn't a great spectacle in terms of overtakes and a lot of close racing in that Barcelona race, but right on the final lap, it got turned on its head. And you just wonder, Lewis, you know, whether that might really, really bite Aleix Espargaro and Aprilia later on in this championship, because, like you just mentioned, they lost a whole bunch of vital points there. Cracking ride by Joan Mir, an unlikely 4th coming from 17th place on the grid. I bet he couldn't believe his eyes when he came into the first corner and saw Aleix Espargaro running off through the long lap penalty loop, celebrating prematurely what he thought was 2nd place. High drama indeed here in Barcelona, but when all's said and done, this man was the class of the field, as he has been over the last 18 months or so. Another victory here in Barcelona for Fabio Quartararo. That's now the hat-trick, once in Moto2, twice in MotoGP, and Quartararo now completely in control of this year's World Championship.
What a crucial day this could prove to be. Take nothing away from Fabio Quartararo in the mayhem that we saw at the end of the Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo was way up the road, absolutely way up the road. 6 seconds clear at the front. His race pace just did not drop off at the end of that Grand Prix. The Pramac Ducatis then second and third. Jorge Martin, his second podium of the season. And Johann Zarco, of course, was second here last year. He's back on the podium in third position. What a result for Johann Zarco. His first podium since he was second to Quartararo in Portimao. As Carlo Espeleta now, the Dorna Sports CEO, now goes in to console Aleix Espargaro.
Yeah, he gave his heart and soul into that Grand Prix, and it's great to see Dorna CEO Carmelo Espeleta come down to console one of the stars of the show in MotoGP in 2022. Aleix Espargaro, there's going to be no words right now that will comfort him, but Carmelo Espeleta, the Dorna CEO, coming down to do his best to offer some support to Aleix Espargaro, who's going to be crestfallen, so disappointed. When Julian Simon surrendered, well, celebrated prematurely at the end of the 125cc race here in 2009, post-race he explained the timing tower here in Catalonia reads lap 0 for the last lap, and you just wonder whether that's created the confusion. That's a message actually coming through from our guys here in the IPF. Wonder whether that may be a contributing factor for Aleix Espargaro. What is not in doubt, though, was that it was a body blow for Aleix Espargaro to take, having been so good throughout this Barcelona Grand Prix weekend. But what a day for Fabio Quartararo. He takes the checker flag by 6.4 seconds. And a gift, what a gift. A surprise podium here in Catalonia for Johann Zarco. He's third with Amy.
Johann, maybe this podium is a little bit unexpected for you, but you've had to work really hard for it over the course of the weekend. From where you started out on Friday, just tell us about that race and how challenging it was. And of course, if you could please just give us a word on what you thought when you saw Aleix make that mistake.
It was incredible, this mistake at the end, and really I was so thankful to catch the podium in that situation, because race was quite okay over the beginning when I saw Nakagami coming quite fast in the break and then did a big crash. I could get a few positions, immediately also overtake Paul Espargaro that was in front of me. And then this group of Fabio, Aleix and Martin. Martin was quite strong, and I really tried to handle my rear tire, but even tried to handle it at the maximum as possible to get an advantage at the end. I didn't get the advantage, and even worse at the end. So it was pretty frustrating to miss this speed at the end, because I was the only one with the hard rear, and he should get an advantage, and I didn't get it. But then it was good to keep pushing, because when Aleix did this mistake of the last lap, I first thought it's a mechanic problem, and then I understood that he was celebrating. So I say, finish your lap and catch your podium.
Lovely to see you back up here on the podium in Barcelona. Well done.
Merci.
Yeah, well done, Johann Zarco. That's back-to-back podiums here in Barcelona for him. I'm indebted to one of our viewers, Mick Stevenson, who's contacted us saying, of course, I've forgotten this one, thanks for jogging my memory. Kenny Roberts Jr. did the same, celebrating early in Estoril in 2006, a race which, of course, was won by Tony Elias. Valentino Rossi taking second place. A great job by this man then. Just a second podium finish of what's been a pretty troublesome 2022 for Jorge Martin. He's in Parc Fermé with Amy.
Jorge. Yeah, Jorge, it's been tough times of recent.
Ooh.
You're going under the surgeon's knife tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be back here on the podium? Obviously, a real sign of optimism of what's to come.
Yeah, well, it's been a long season. Was difficult anyway. Second position today. I struggled during the last races, but I knew I was there. I was still the same Martinator, and yeah, this weekend was almost perfect. The pace was there. I was struggling being behind Aleix, so I was trying to be in front. But yeah, finally, thanks to the crowd, to my fans, they are here pushing a lot. Gracias a todos y la próxima más. Gas.
Great to see you back.
Yeah, great to see Jorge Martin back on the podium. That was a top ride by him. He really was working hard in an intense battle with Aleix Espargaro, and it got the ultimate reward, second place. He had nothing for Fabio Quartararo, nobody did here in Barcelona today, but Jorge Martin celebrates second place, back on the podium for the first time since Argentina. But one man was utterly brilliant here today in Barcelona, your reigning world champion and race winner Fabio Quartararo with Amy.
Fabio, congratulations. You had so much margin, but you made it look completely effortless. Just keep that hammer down.
Exactly. I felt good from the beginning. I knew I wanted to be first in the first corner, and finally I managed to get something crazy. So yeah, I'm so happy. Great to see all the fans here. I want to thank them all to come here, and yeah, amazing race. I felt great. I was not controlling all the race, but pushing from the beginning, and then see how was my rear tire going. Was really good, and I had some margin and always increasing my lead. So happy, and Mugello one here was meant to be difficult, but 2-1-1 is a really great result.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a good point made by Fabio Quartararo, isn't it? The long straights of Mugello and Barcelona were supposed to really hurt the Yamaha man, and he walks away with 45 points and from 50 in the space of a week, and he won't be bothered by the howl that dropped by Aleix Espargaro, because it means he goes to the Saxon Ring in a couple of weeks' time. What is it, 22 points clear in the championship battle? That's a big buffer. He'll be looking to extend that and going into the summer break as well.
And of course, what's happened elsewhere in that Grand Prix, and Ed Bastianini, who crashed out of the race earlier on, he's 53 behind now, and Pecco Bagnaia continues the incredible run in 2022. No race winner in 2022 in MotoGP has finished in the top 10 at the following Grand Prix. Incredible run of results this season. Quite extraordinary the way it's gone. Fabio Quartararo won't care about that, with a 66-point lead now over the rider who many expect to be a long-term championship contender. Pecco Bagnaia stuck on 81 points. Of course, no fault of his own, but Bagnaia, a disastrous day for Ducati as a whole, and a day that couldn't have gone much better when Fabio Quartararo woke up this morning from his point of view.
I'm loving that circuit-designed podium here in Barcelona. I'm sure that's going to be replicated by a few tracks around the world. So the fans here in Barcelona, some of them are going home pretty dejected tonight, having seen the home crowd hero throw away 20 precious World Championship points. Apparently Salva Franco, who's a mechanic currently in Aprilia for Aleix Espargaro, was also a mechanic right here back in 2009 when Julian Simon made the same error back in the 125cc battle. We're just going to stay quiet now as we try and listen into the post-race thoughts of our top three men here in Barcelona.
Laps you were making 40 low, no? 2 or 3? 40.1. But the grip I expect much worse now. So the last 5 laps. But was with Aleix battling on the race. But Aleix got before the finish line. Last lap, I thought he broke.
Yeah, me too.
Starting the last lap, I was catching back.
And then
I was like, oh, I'm coming.
All the brake pump celebrating. Me, I passed him in first corner, and then I said, wow.
And then he started pushing again.
Yeah, but I think Mir passed him.
He went. I finished 5th, I think. Yeah, me is 4th, no? Wow. The start also, you didn't see it.
Ah, see.
Nakagami 3 or 4. Yeah. We spoke in the...
I think he crashed, he touched Bagnaia, and he took away...
Prince is...
yes, Prince, yes.
Because in the first lap, in the braking, I was like, oh. That was hot. Huh? I was overtaking you, then someone, I don't know, I think was Paul or Nakagami overtook me, and I was close to you, and then boom, boom, boom.
I think has been Nakagami, because Paul overtook, but I think was not in front of you.
Yeah, but I think you, first corner. But you, the first lap had already 1 second. Eh?
No, I had 310.
No.
So my team was like...
Yeah, maybe in that sector, but Aleix was very...
I mean, my best lap was
managing
40.
a lot too, Aleix. And I was really like trying to...
At the end, I had a little
bit more.
because I pushed so much. But in even last laps, I was doing 41.6.
I was with Alex alone, and then he was coming with the hard. I knew I was the hard, and I was no.
Yeah, but the hard
But you think was good idea, the hard?
But at the end, he did not help me.
But last year,
Yes, spin.
last year I did the same, and I expect much better at the end. But last year you used medium, right? Last year.
Second.
Yeah, but you used medium rear, no? No, hard.
Yes.
I remember.
But I got much more job than last year.
Mañana me opero, tío. De un nervio, no te lo diría. Las últimas vueltas, la última gira estaba senza forza, onestamente. Wow. Peccato che non rimango oggi, sai?
¿Dónde vas ahora?
No, me tengo que ir a Italia, tío. Si no, hoy le hago una que
So the podium celebration is about to start here in Barcelona. There's a very good reason why myself and Lewis stay quiet for that little post-race conversation now, because we just heard some unique, fascinating insight from the top 3 men, fresh from Parc Ferme before they get on the podium. They were well, Johan Zarco and Jorge Martin both saying what we suspected. They thought Aleix Espargaro had got a mechanical problem late on. Unbelievable late drama here then in Barcelona as Fabio Quartararo's crew chief Diego Gubellini comes to the podium. What a day of race action here in MotoGP in Barcelona, and your podium celebrations underway.
And what a weekend for Yamaha. Of course, they've confirmed Fabio Quartararo for the next 2 seasons. They've confirmed their title sponsorship is extended as well for the coming years, and they've taken what could end up, still a long way to go in this 2022 season, could end up being a decisive and defining victory. Just how crucial will this Sunday afternoon be in the final reckoning in Valencia in November? What a day for Pramac Ducati with a brand new title sponsor. Both riders on the podium, Johan Zarco in 3rd position, and Jorge Martin will go into that surgery tomorrow on his hand in high spirits, equaling his best results of the season. Back on the podium for the 2nd time this year and the 1st since Argentina, but demonstrating exactly why he is the reigning world champion. Your race winner, Fabio Quartararo. Christmas has come early in Catalonia for Fabio Quartararo. Race victory. 2 of his 3 closest championship contenders out of the Grand Prix for various reasons. Bastianini, his own accident. Bagnaia, unfortunately, the victim of a collision from behind, taken out by Takaki Nakagami. And Aleix Espargaro, of course, with that mistake on the final lap, sitting up, thinking that the race had finished and losing 9 World Championship points and 3 positions. Mitch Covington, the SVP of Sports Marketing for Monster Energy, the sponsors of this Grand Prix, gives Diego Gubellini the winning trophy for the constructors. Yamaha's 2nd victory of the season. Fabio Quartararo really doing the Lord's work for Yamaha, isn't he? The next Yamaha in the end across the line was Darren Binder, who finished in 12th position. Some good points for Darren Binder this afternoon. Johan Zarco in 3rd position. In the end, the grateful benefactor of what happened to Aleix Espargaro on that last lap. Back-to-back podiums in Barcelona for Zarco, the 2nd consecutive year he stood up there. Pere Rodriguez, the mayor of Montmeló, and a very happy Jorge Martin. What relief it must be for him. Changed back to a more familiar setting on the front forks of his Ducati, and it brought that old feeling back. And Jorge Martin certainly back in business, and he will hope back to full fitness next time around at the Sachsenring as he goes in for surgery tomorrow. Roger Toron, the Minister for Business and Labour and the President of the circuit, gives Fabio Quartararo a 2nd winner's trophy here in Barcelona, the 2nd time in 3 years. How rarely have we seen him that animated when he's taken a Grand Prix victory. Potentially a crucial day in the World Championship as Quartararo demolishes the field in Barcelona.
Soak that up, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to the roar of an appreciative crowd. Are we in Le Mans or are we in Barcelona? Incredible reception for the two Frenchmen on the podium. I just briefly stepped out of our commentary box position here. The roar when Fabio Quartararo climbed onto the top step of the podium, it was like Barcelona had scored a last-minute winning goal in the Champions League final. It was incredible. What an atmosphere. What a spectacle the MotoGP World Championship is this year. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable and dramatic race day across all three classes, and it finishes in the most dramatic fashion. What a first and last lap in that Barcelona battle, with Taka Nakagami taking out Pecco Bagnaia and Alex Rins at the first corner, and then Aleix Espargaro thinking he'd taken second place behind this man, Fabio Quartararo, miscounting the laps, celebrating too early. And it all plays into the hands of this man. He's going to enjoy that post-race Prosecco because he certainly earned it. He certainly deserved it. Another fabulous performance by Fabio Quartararo, the 23-year-old from Nice. The French fans down there on the grid, they are loving this. Johann Zarco, he's celebrating like he's taken a first victory here in the Premier Class. Absolutely incredible scene. Just the third time in Premier Class history that two French riders have stood alongside each other on the podium. Memorable scenes here in Barcelona. Great to see the fans have poured out onto the grid. They've enjoyed their day out in the sunshine. I'm sure they've enjoyed their day out watching Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP action here, because it's been a brilliant day in Barcelona.